Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome to another episode of Veganish with Dr. Monique. I'm Dr. Monique, and I'm your physician in the kitchen. You know me. I help busy households enjoy healthy eating without impacting their hectic schedules. And on this show, we talk about what it's like to be vegan-ish, kind of what that all means, the ups, the downs, and everything in between. And happy September. Can you let's just stop
Wow.
and think about that. September, y'all. Like my mother was here today and she was like, Christmas is almost here. I was like, please don't say that. But hello, Mr. Ellis. How are you doing today?
First of all, she said Christmas, like we just skipped like three holidays between.
She was like, let's just get to the point. Christmas.
Yeah, so I am great. I am joining you all from sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So I'm not at my normal home down here celebrating my alma mater, aka FAMU, Florida A&M University. And we are playing in the Orange Blossom Classic against Jackson State. So down here, hanging out with some college friends and enjoying some time. So
Well, I got you. I gotta do it, Ellis. I love you. But speaking of alma maters, so last weekend, a certain school played another certain school. So FAMU visited Chapel Hill, and let's just say we didn't treat them so nice. But FAMU did not disappoint with the band. I loved it. Actually, we just stuck around. Honestly, I went to see the band, so we left right after halftime because I saw what I wanted to see. And FAMU even they taught Carolina some moves. And so if you get the chance to see it on YouTube or
woo,
Instagram, whatever, it was a great halftime show. They came together, they each performed individually and they performed together. And it was a great show. It was a great show. So we were actually we were on the side with the FAMU band. It was like 280 or something people. It was massive. So great job. I hope, other than the final score, I hope they had a good time.
no.
But
I mean, yeah, it was all good. I
it was
enjoyed
all good.
I
It
enjoyed
was
the
all
first
good.
half. We played well for the first half, and then I think it's just
Yeah, we were. It was kind of close-ish. We had doubled
yeah.
up on y'all for in the first half, and then. But anyway, I hope you all have a better game tonight or this weekend, and all goes well. So this is the part of the show where you know what we do here. We ask you to rep your city. Let us know where you are coming or you are watching us from. It's usually a race. Usually, kind of the Midwest clicks in first. Sometimes we get the West Coast. Sometimes we get New York City area. So let us know where you are watching from. Rep your city, your state, your zip code, your area code, your country, however you want to let us know where you're watching us from. And not only that, tag a friend, go tap somebody on the shoulder and be like, y'all need to come on in this house and fellowship with us because we got a lot to get to tonight.
Yes.
We've been going down the rainbow pathway. I always talk about each your colors. So we've been kind of breaking that down color by color. But we've got a lot of other stuff to get to, some stuff in the news that I want to talk about with you as well. So go ahead and start letting us New York. All right, New York City. Yes, I love it. Thank you, Dee, for watching and letting us know you're in New York City. We've got Decatur, Illinois. There's the Midwest. Jacksonville. Oh, so Florida. All right, Joanne. Thank you so much for watching. So if you've been watching, we're doing our kind of eat the color tour of the rainbow. And we've done green foods, we've done yellow foods, we've done red foods, we've done blue/purple foods.
Mhm.
So today or tonight, and this is perfect timing. Look at this. We're doing orange foods. I love it. That just dawned on me.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the memo. I should have worn
I
orange.
wore my orange. I
But
already.
Ellis is
Yeah. We
representing.
were
I
doing
love
orange.
it.
Perfect.
I
So yeah.
love it. I love it. I love it. So we're going to talk about the benefits of orange foods, and again, this is kind of like a soap opera. You remember how you could like watch back in the day? I know I'm dating myself, but like you could not watch a soap opera for like I don't know 3 years, and you tune back in and you be like, oh yeah, that's so and so, and she's sleeping with him. And then, like you already know what's going on. Same thing here. Like if you've missed everything, or if you've seen only one, guess what? Fruits and vegetables are good for you. They prevent cancer and disease. So it's a kind of wash and repeat, but we're still gonna get into it and kind of talk a little bit about some ways you can prepare some orange foods as well.
And we have a
So
cautionary tale, don't we? As
we
to why
do.
fruits and
We
vegetables.
do have a cautionary tale, and I got some news from the nutrition in the news, I guess you could call it.
Right.
That we're going to talk about a little bit. It kind of all comes together. But just, I'm here. My job is to give you the information to help you make choices and decisions that hopefully improve and lengthen your life. So that being said, let's pull up the slide, please, to match your shirt there in honor. We're going to call this the FAMU show. How about we do that? This is the FAMU episode. And I love it because orange is actually one of my favorite colors. Orange is, I love it. I think, we're getting into fall, right? In another few, 2-3 weeks, it'll be fall, So Labor Day, I hope you all are going to have a wonderful Labor Day because it's kind of the end of the season, end of the summer, kind of quote unquote unofficial end of the summer. So we've got some orange foods that we're going to talk about. And while he's pulling that up, again, these all do similar things, but we're going to focus today on orange foods, fruits and vegetables, and their role in the body. So as we've done this, we've talked about the name of the chemical that gives, or the plant chemical, the phytonutrient that gives the vegetables their color, because those colors are what imparts the health benefits, right? So there we go. Aren't you glad? I love it. See, y'all, I'm corny. I like food. So, just look at that slide. Like, I just want to eat all of that, right? So, so what gives these foods their beautiful orange hue is beta carotene. Mm-hmm. Is one of them. They also have a little bit of lycopene in them as well. And so those chemicals give the orange hue, and something also called lutein as well. Mm-hmm. So we've got apricots, pumpkin, right? We're getting into that time of year where pumpkin is everywhere. I remember I saw a meme a few weeks ago where somebody was like, don't stop talking about pumpkin spice. It's still August. Don't rush it. So, we're about to get bombarded with pumpkin and pumpkin spice, but cantaloupe, juicy, delicious carrots, turmeric, a spice that I hope is in your pantry, your cabinet. Turmeric is a wonderful anti-inflammatory, antiviral, antibacterial that gives food a nice yellowish hue as well. Yep. And so used in a lot of Middle Eastern or Asian dishes. So if you've not tried turmeric, please do. Sweet potatoes, of course, right? Sweet potato pie coming up. It's almost that time of year. Nectarines, papaya, oranges, peaches, kumquats, orange peppers, tangerines, and persimmon. And of course, this list is not all inclusive. And as we're going through this, please drop in the chat. I'd love to see what your favorites are, right? I like pretty much everything on here, but I would love to see what your favorites are and a dish that you make with them. So Ellis, you represent for Team Orange. What's your favorite on this list? You can't say sweet potato.
No. Being from Florida, I'm going to go with Florida oranges. And I remember growing up as a kid eating kumquats. Like, one of my neighbors had like a tree, and we would just eat them, pick them right off the tree, and eat kumquats. And I was like, it was just kind of one of those things that you did. And I'm going to echo your point about turmeric. If you have not tried it, it is a fantastic, and it's so good for you that if you're making a stew or anything like that, you just sprinkle some turmeric in there. It does have a yellow color, so you have to be careful because it will change the color of what you're putting it in. If you put too much in there,
your fingertips too get a little yellow.
Yes, but it's a root vegetable, right? So
it is. And actually, it's so funny you say that. I was in Jamaica a couple of weeks ago, and we were in a private villa, and there was a private garden. And so the chef was showing me the different things in the garden, and it was this tree with these big green leaves, and I was like, what's that? And she said turmeric, and I was like, turmeric? And she said, well, yeah, it's a root. And so but all you see are the leaves at the top, and I would have never guessed that was a turmeric plant. So yes, it's definitely it's a root vegetable. So let's get into kind of, again, some of these things, and again, stop me if you've heard this before, but we're gonna go over it. But so what are the health benefits? What do these things do specifically in your body? What do these phytonutrients do? So one of the things is blood pressure control. So here's the headline, right? Eating fruits and vegetables helps to decrease and prevent the risk for chronic diseases. Chronic diseases are things like heart disease, like the number one things that kill people, right? That's why we're harping on this, because we're talking about lives here. So heart disease, diabetes, inflammation in the body, cancer, all the stuff we don't want. So one of the benefits is health is blood pressure control. So the average American, we've talked about this before, how the average American sodium intake is way too high and the potassium intake is too low. And potassium does things in your body like it plays a role in regulating fluid. It helps nerves to transmit signals and also helps muscle contraction. Your heart is affected by your potassium levels. So you definitely want to have an adequate supply of that. Excuse me. And so we know that high blood pressure increases the risk for stroke. And one way of increasing your potassium intake, if you're relatively low, is to eat more fruits and vegetables. And believe it or not, orange foods like sweet potatoes and carrots are actually high in potassium. People think of bananas when we talk about potassium, but your orange fruits and vegetables are a great source as well. I see Rowena saying that she's watching from Maryland. Thank you so much for joining. So you've also got your winter squash, which is like your acorn and your butternut. Those are also going to be high in. And I've just relatively recently started eating butternut squash. It's delicious. It's like it's
I would take your word for that one.
it's you can kind of season it and almost like a sweet potato. Like it really has a mild flavor. And then don't forget the seeds, because those are technically fruits because their seeds are inside. You can clean those seeds up and like rinse off the pulp, the connective tissue that's in there, and season them with however you like and bake them. And they are nice, and they take on a nutty flavor.
Yep.
If you like crunchy snacks, there it is. So you kind of get a twofer with that. If you're using the whole squash, save those seeds and bake them up, and they are delicious. So that's blood pressure control. They also help with your eyes. So your lutein, we talked about, is one of the chemicals that give them that color. So macular degeneration is a leading cause of blindness in this country, and so these fruits and vegetables help to decrease the risk for cataracts, which is a cause of cloudy or blurry vision, and also age-related macular degeneration. So you want to be sure to get those in your diet. So, and here's one that I came across, because we haven't really talked about this as far as what these foods do, but also they contain a high level of vitamin C, which is important for dental health. And sometimes I don't always remember that, but if you have adequate levels of vitamin C, you're less likely to have bleeding gums and loose teeth, because vitamin C does play a role in collagen formation, which is a connective tissue that helps with wound healing and skin elasticity.
Right.
So, but to be mindful, it's good for your teeth as well. If you want to help keep those healthy gums, definitely add some those orange fruits and vegetables as well. So, Ellis, you talked about oranges, and that's the kind of the first thing that comes to mind when you think about orange, right? Because it's a color and a fruit.
Right.
But I do want to just mention whole fruit versus juice, and that can go for any of these that you juice, anything that you juice. Particularly if you're juicing it yourself, that's different. But we're talking more about the store-bought, juices that are out there. People may think they're getting, it's healthy, I'm drinking juice. Flip that label around and look at the back and see how much sugar is in there. Because remember, these have natural sugars, right? Fructose, fruit sugar. But the added sugars that are oftentimes put in these juices is, it negates any health benefit. So, and also that, not only that, but when you are getting juice, you're not getting the fiber.
Right.
From eating the fruit, which helps with digestion. It helps again with these chronic diseases, helps you feel full. It can also help regulate blood sugar. So just a little word there about juice. But so you talked about kumquats. I love to hear that, because I've actually never had a kumquat. So being from Florida, do you just pick oranges and eat them like kumquats? Like how accessible to you were oranges? Like this fascinates me, because I'm like, you just.
A few people had trees. If you were, when you're younger, you're a little bit more adventurous, and so
Okay.
you know, we've I won't say how we got the oranges, but there may have been a fence climb,
Of course, that's what they're there for, right?
but just saying, yeah, you would just pluck it up right off the tree, and peel it and eat it. I think that natural way, and then like I said, my neighbor had the kumquat tree, so we didn't have to really climb on that, but it was just kind of like you just, you just kind of knew which ones were good, and which
Mm,
ones weren't. So you just pluck it and you look at it and rinse it
there
and
you
bite it.
go.
So I think we need to, in terms of, especially with this series and this whole program, we need to encourage our audience to get back to that space, to where, like, so the other night I made this big wok full of just stock full of vegetables. I mean, we had yellow squash and zucchini, which is another form of squash, and then we had every color of peppers: orange peppers, red, yellow. Um, I had some jalapenos, some fresh garlic, just onions, scallions, the whole nine, just all in there. And I made my
Amazing.
son come downstairs and help me cook, right? And I showed him how to chop vegetables and the whole nine. But he was asking, and every time I would cut, it didn't matter, different color. Hey, eat it fresh, like eat it raw. So that way, when you're cooking, you'll know what it tastes like in its raw form, so that way it's easier to mix it and blend it with other things, because you know what it tastes like. So, and he was like, "What does that taste like?" I said, "Well, cut them a piece. Here, put this." And I said, "It's
Mm.
crunchy. It's a little sweet, and there's not a big difference in the pepper, flavor profile, but just understanding that eating that fresh food, no, your body and your mouth will get used to it over time. So just really try it. I definitely say, when you're cooking, just pop it in your mouth.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And we know that the longer, and I'm so glad you said that, because of course the longer that we cook um our fruits and vegetables, if it's a fruit that you're cooking,
Hmm.
you actually lose nutrients that way. And I know I remember years ago, I remember hearing uh, something about the way Black people make collard greens, because we cook collard greens to death. But for me, it's a balance, because I'm not going to eat something that's too chewy. We talked about kale a few weeks ago, right? How
Yeah,
you can massage it in oil and or lemon juice to kind of soften it up and break it down a little bit. Like if it's too raw, it's not, palatable. It's not
yeah.
pleasant. So you have to kind of, have that balance. So if you do tend to like your greens a little on the well cooked side, try to balance that out with something else that's not as cooked
I'm not a fan of soggy greens. I like my greens a little firm. I
so
like
you
I
like
like
yours with a little bite to them. Yeah.
a little firm, yeah, a little, yeah.
I like mine kind of cooked down, but that's just kind of how my mom always made them, and that's kind of
Yeah.
what you used to. But speaking of greens, I did want to say briefly about one of the before we leave is about anemia. So we talked about vitamin C and
Yep.
how rich these foods are. Vitamin C helps with iron absorption. So any of you out there, particularly you ladies, if you've dealt with an anemia in your life, your doctor may have told you, take your iron with some orange juice or something, with orange juice, because that helps to your body absorb the iron. So, if you're thinking of ways to kind of incorporate how to get more of these fruits and vegetables in your diet, one thing you can do is, say if you're having a spinach salad, cut some orange segments into that, because the citrus, the vitamin C from the oranges will help you absorb the iron that's in the spinach.
Mm,
And not only that, the acid from the oranges just kind of helps brighten it, and that flavor really will be enhanced. So things
yep.
like that. You can make spring rolls. Practice your knife cuts and slice up those peppers that Ellis was mentioning, carrots and cabbage and so forth, and make you some delicious spring rolls. You can make pancakes with sweet potato. I make you can add sweet potato or pumpkin puree into your waffles or pancakes. So
Mm,
that's another source that you can get. Grilling your vegetables is a way to get it. Making hummus and then eating it with carrots. So these are all just different ways of getting those vegetables in there. And I love that you talked about, Ellis, about having your son come cook with you,
yep.
because that's just that's a way to try to get that information to him early. So I see Patricia May is watching. Is that my auntie watching from New York? Thank you so much for watching. So we are going to go ahead, and I want to get to the The news, nutrition in the news, because there are two things I want to share with you that I came across here recently. And again, this you've heard before, but it does bear repeating about how ultra processed foods are not good for us.
Right.
So there's been a big study that recently was published in the British Medical Journal that ultra processed foods have been linked to cancer and early death. And this study was interesting because it had over 200,000 the US based. It was done in the US and Italy. We'll talk about the US based portion, but that examined the diets of over 200,000 men and women for up to 28 years. So this was
Okay.
a large study, and it was for a long time. And they found the link between ultra processed foods and colorectal cancer in men, which is the third most diagnosed cancer in the United States, but not in women. For women, it was more of that they had heart disease and early death. So when we say ultra processed foods, we've mentioned processed foods. What do we mean about ultra processed foods? So those include prepackaged soups, sauces, frozen pizza, ready to eat meals, and foods like hot dogs, sausages, French fries, soda,
I was thinking
cookies,
like I think
cakes.
like cold cuts would be
Yeah,
okay.
ready to pretty much things that are ready to eat or ready to heat meals that you know get to the table pretty quickly.
Right.
Cakes, candies, donuts, ice cream. Which who doesn't like ice cream, right? So, but like we've talked about before on this show, moderation, right? But what they looked at here was again the length of time and the amount of foods that these people were eating. And one of the interesting things that I saw was that they said that people who ate a lot of ultra processed foods, they actually gained 2 pounds while they were on the diet. So they did kind of the National Institute of Health did a study where they had people on ultra processed and regular or healthy foods, unprocessed. The people who were on the ultra processed diet ate at a faster rate, which I'm like, so they ate faster, and that equated or equaled about an extra 500 calories per day than people who were eating unprocessed foods. So what that means is that like there's, we have cues. Our body is our brain is when we're eating, our stomach gets full. It sends information back to the brain, unless hey, look, you slow down, you're getting full. So it looks like some of that might be affected by what you're eating. So on average, the study participants gained 2 pounds when they were on ultra processed diet, or they lost an equivalent amount when they were on the unprocessed diet. So I thought that was very interesting. And when they looked at the study as far as why colon cancer was higher in men versus women, what they think the difference is there is kind of like for women in general. We know that estrogen is protective, like that's why women don't tend to get heart disease until they're older and go through menopause. So they think that there's a difference, due to sex hormones, metabolic hormones, obesity rates, things like that. And also they found that women tended to eat healthier ultra processed foods. So there is such a thing. So like yogurt. So women tend to eat more yogurt, and some ultra processed foods like whole grain foods that don't have extra sugars or additives. Though women tended to eat more of those, and they thought that might have a protective effect as well. So interesting. Just wanted to kind of share that because that's kind of hot off the press, and it doesn't tell us anything we don't know, but just
We're
another way of
reinforcing, right? We're
reinforcing.
reinforcing the thing. It's like rinse and repeat. We're going to continue to bang that drum until we get
Exactly.
it. And that's really
Exactly.
understanding that a
Because
more plant-based diet is
it
going
is.
to be healthier.
Because how many things I name on that list, I eat some of those things. So it's a process, right? It's not it's what is it? It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
So it's hard. It can be a challenge to overcome or change some of these ingrained habits that we have, but when you know better, you do better. And so I wanted to end tonight just on a cautionary tale. I said we had a cautionary tale, and I don't know how many of you. I haven't seen the movie, but they did a movie about Elvis here recently, and the actress who the black actress, I don't again, I didn't see the movie, I don't know what role, but she was I think a blues singer in the movie. Her real name was Shanka Dukara, and she actually passed away suddenly a few months ago, like not long after the movie premiered. And she was only 44 years old, and she was found at home deceased by her two young children, and they just released her cause of death, and it was heart disease.
Mm.
At 44, she died from complications from hypertensive and atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. In English, what that means is the arteries of her heart were clogged. She had high blood pressure, and she likely had a clot, a thrombosis, and suffered a massive heart attack. And so I read this today, and I just, obviously the sadness about her. It looks like her star was just on the rise. I think she had an album about to come out. She had these two small children. But here is a Black woman dying of heart disease at 44. And so I don't know her history. I didn't treat her, but I just know that I wanted to share this information with you all. So please, ladies, I'm talking to you. Um, this was my Facebook post for today. Please, if you're having any symptoms at all, such as indigestion or heartburn,
Yep.
shortness of breath, because here's the thing, women don't have heart attacks like men.
Nope.
Women don't have the same symptoms a lot of times. And if you're diabetic, you could throw all that out the window. So it could just be you're a little bit more tired than you usually are, or you are more short of breath with activity than you usually are. You have swelling in your legs, or you have heartburn. Any of these things, please, please, please do not attribute it to the weather, stress, your hormones, your anxiety, your salt intake, like all this other stuff that people, self-diagnose. Please go to the doctor, the people who went to medical school. Let them listen to your story and evaluate you and make sure that, you could be right. It could be some of those things. But if you're wrong, it could also be it could be fatal. And so we want you to please take those symptoms seriously. I tell people all the time, you can't pour from an empty cup. Sometimes you got to take off the Superwoman cape and go replenish, go get yourself checked out so that, if you want to be here for your family, your community, your friends, whoever you serve, you've got to listen to your body, go get it checked out, and know your family history. Please, please, please know your family history as much as is possible, as much as is available to you. Medicine is going in a direction now. We're targeting, we have gene therapy. We're using, genetic testing to target and treat diseases differently now. So some of that is in the cardiovascular world as well. So, just know your history. Thanksgiving every year, I tell people, when you're passing the mashed potatoes, pass the family history around as well. What did Big Mama die from? Why did so-and-so get a leg cut off? Like, seriously, because these are things that are important, but not always talked about. And we're talking about the whole family history, mental health, physical health, like all of it. It's really important. So
I think it's paramount to the survival of the families, because I've seen heard too many horror stories about and things that happen in people. The families will wait until you get diagnosed, and it's like, oh yeah, your uncle had that, right? And so you're like, wait, you could have told me that, and I could have made those changes prior to getting this, and had more preventative measures. We should be taking preventative measures, but having that history, working with your primary care physician, giving them that history lets them know to look out for certain things, right? Exactly. When they're looking at your blood work, when they're running your labs, they're doing all that stuff. If they know, oh, this person, like for me, I have a family history of prostate cancer. So doc's going to look at my PSA, and he's not just going to look at it as a number. He's going to look at it, okay, was there an increase from last year to this year? So those are type of things that they'll do with knowing a family history versus, oh, you're just, you're good. Kind of, right. Or you're a blank slate, and then they're just kind of saying, because if you're under 4 for your PSA, they may not know that you have a family history. So that jump from 1.2 to 2.3 in a year it could be very significant, and he might want to send you to go get a biopsy, even though you're still under that 4 threshold that they tell you need to be under for PSA. So all of those things matter. Family history, talk about it at Thanksgiving. Sit at the table. Pass some mashed potatoes, pass some history with it.
There you go. And hopefully, this Thanksgiving, you have a little bit more plant-based, healthier plant-based, right? Not these ultra-processed foods that we just talked about. But that's again, it's a process. We're all in it together. We're all here to grow and to get better. So
Greens are plant-based. Greens are I'm gonna have the greens.
salad is plant-based too, but then by the time you put all the bacon bits and the dressing and the cheese and but I'm just saying, people say, oh, it's plant-based, and then they kind of, sabotage it. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we cut that egg, cut that hard-boiled egg on there. Yeah.
To the corner, Ellis. Go to the corner. Go to the corner. So please be sure to follow me on all social media at Physician in the Kitchen. You guys were quiet tonight. I wanted to hear what some of your favorite recipes are, but it's not too late. You can always drop it in the chat. Let us know what orange food is your favorite, what recipes or how you like to make it. And so we've got, and don't forget my book, Doc Fix My Plate. Right there. Doc Fix My Plate. You can get your copy at docfixmyplatebook.com. I'm sure there's an orange food or two in there that you could use. And I'd love, if you make any of the recipes in the book, please be sure to tag me on Instagrams or whatever your social media of choice is. Until next week, happy Saturday, happy September, happy Labor Day weekend.
Yes.
Be safe. Come back and see us next week. I'm actually going to be going to, my son is an Aggie. He's a North Carolina A&T, and they actually are playing North Carolina Central, the big rivalry there, in-state rivalry, and they're actually playing here in Charlotte this weekend. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, that's fun. And also we'll have a special guest next week with us.
That's right. You got to tune in.
Just teasing. That's called a tease, y'all. That's called a tease,
right? That's when we try to hook you to come back in. So, but have a great week, everyone. Enjoy your holiday weekend. Be safe. Take care.
Y'all take care.